Right, another day has come and gone, and we've got the bench leveled up nicely. Hello guys, welcome to part 5 of our Ultimate Workbench build. Thanks for coming back. Remember, we've got part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 to watch. So if you haven't watched any of those, feel free to click back at those and see what they're all about first, so you watch it all in order. So for the first time, you're going to see the workbench, a little sneak preview behind me, all joined up and in its overall size, its finished size, which is quite awesome. I'm going to be showing you how we join the carcasses together, what connectors we use. I'm going to be showing you the thicknesser being pulled in and out and the compressor in its spaces, how we made the opening and the frame for the chop saw and the hatch, the scissor lift, all that sort of stuff. And lastly but not least, going to be showing you the worktops themselves, how we fitted them, dominoes, etc, and seeing those in place too. Very interesting. But if you haven't seen part 1, 2, 3 and 4, might be worth going back and seeing those, at least part 4, because that will give you an idea of what you're looking at right now. But other than that, stay tuned, watch to the end, and I hope you enjoy. Right, another day has come and gone, and we've got the bench leveled up nicely. Wheels all jacked up. We've got the thicknesser in place on a shelf. We need to change the runners on those because we've only got 450s in stock, so we need to get 700 runners, but that's the thicknesser. Still got extraction to do there. Sean is making another shelf that's going here because we've got the little Stanley compressor going there, a 24 litre compressor. That's going to take up most of the space, and right at the back of that shelf we'll have like a little box for all the bits and pieces. So that should again pull out for 750, the same depth as the carcass. We've got our choppy all set in now. We've got that on a scissor lift, a foot pedalled scissor lift. That is in, and when it comes up it clicks directly into place and fills this space up, because the cutout that I used, the cutouts shall I say, I used that for the base for the actual choppy to sit on. So when it rises, it clicks directly into place. I just need to neaten these tongues up, because when you jack it up, it does jack up against the underside of those lips. So I've got to make that nice. Haven't done anything to these sections yet. And we've clamped up our frames. We've just got a couple more clamps to go there because we're starting to get the bolts on now. My thoughts were 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4. That's 16. We're just going to go in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's walk around what we've got so far. And you can see we've got the MDF top on. It's really nice, actually. It's a nice working height of about, how high is this top, Sean? 850? Yeah, 850 to the top of the bench. And we find that it's quite nice because it's just absolute perfect height. You don't need to lean over. You don't get a sore back. Spot on. So it's nice to actually start using the bench in a way, albeit a bit hectic. This side's clamped. So, right, I'll run you through the bolts that I'm using right now. They're called joining bolts. And I'm ready to drill them out now with a 10mm bit. So you can see I've got myself a little template or a rod. You can see my holes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Work them out. So when the hinges go on for my doors, they still look centralized. I'm going to pre-drill it with a 3mm to mark the holes, and then I'll take that away, and I'm having to drill freehand, but it's going to be just bought this brand new titanium wood bits. Drill all the way through, but most likely I'm going to drill half the way, move that template and drill the other half, because I don't want to get any split out. Remember, it's 10mm, you know, so I'm doing half and half. The bolt should work because the entire bolt isn't 10mm. Do you see what I mean? It's only this. So we should be fine on that. So I've had to just modify this bolt ever so slightly, take off 5mm, because the 110mm was too long and the 100mm was too short. I did both freehand, half and half. And it was just a brand new drill bit. It was beautiful. So let's just nip that up. We're relying on this to give, you know, to really hold the carcasses together. This is the main strength of the two carcasses together. We could replace these screws, these carcass screws, because they're only going into 36. I could replace those now with extra long ones to reinforce. Even though I know my bench isn't going to come apart any time, it's just not going to happen. I don't really want to have extra screws going through. I'll see when I take the clamps off if I need to. That is a last resort, but like I said, I can just make these screws 80mm because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. 6 80mm screws going in will give it a lot more strength. So far so good, just 2 Allen keys at the moment. You saw how easy it was just to nip them up nice and tight. Lovely jubbly. And there you go, all 4 bolts in. Really, really tight fixings with those. Moving on to the next piece. Sean's ripping down some 6mm strips of birch to run along the tops of the frames. Because we're using 18mm ply top, we did plan to use 25, but we've got so much 18 in stock. We're making, put some strips on here, but we're going to be then stepping that back and then creating a shadow gap like so. By stepping that 6mm strip back, 6 and 18 makes 24, but we're near enough of the height we need because we need to be in line with when the table saw top goes there. So that's what Sean's up to. Let's move around in this space. The runners are in. Sean made that tray. We need to replace the runners, and we've just mounted. We took the wheels off this compressor and we've put some rubber underneath and we bolted it to this tray. Underneath we've created a hole so we can still get to the release valve and the little hose there. So when we need to drain it, because the tray is going to be all the way down there, it's not going to go all over our bench. So that's going to go in a minute and slide straight in. But right now we're on the table saw. So we've taken these fences off. Well, this was the front and that was the back for the rip fence to sort of slide on. You can see where we had the fire, where underneath it's all smoky. Luckily we managed to salvage the table saw. We need to get that all up because ultimately we're keeping this box, so it needs a really good clean. We've taken the motor out. We may as well service it. We've got noisy bearings, so while it's out, we're going to get that serviced and new bearings. Right now we're literally just taking this top off and the box. We're utilising this side. We may clad it in birch still, but we're definitely going to be using these brackets because that gives us adjustment. Those brackets are going to be fitting directly to here and here, which is lovely. But we're only going small. We're going to sort of cut this down in line with this table saw because we don't want that to extend past the table saw points, which is that corner there. But as you can see on the bench itself, we've made a start, the cutout. We literally just need to take that corner out and the entire thing should just sit in there without that much tweaking. So table saw is out now and it's rusting now just because we've washed it. There's so much crap all over it. The motor's come out, so there's nothing electrical, and we've just literally just hosed it as delicately as we could without getting any of the switch wet and this bearing wet because it was caked in black soot and dust, obviously dust. Once that's completely dry, we're just turning it over a couple of times just to let the water drain off. We're going to get it back in. I'm going to sand that top up. I did start, and then I thought to myself, what am I doing this for? It's just going to rust again. So we had decided to wash it first. Yeah, so that's going to come back in and be sanded down. Table saw's gone now. All of that space. That's like the size of a medium-sized workshop on its own. Look at the size of it. 3 sheets at the moment. Obviously, we're not having it that long. We're going to be cutting our boards down to about 1620, 20mm over. We've got to do this in the right order. So firstly, we've selected all our boards. I don't know if you can see how well these grains line up. we try to have as least patches as possible. The only patch I think we're going to have in here is this one here. Can you even see it? Probably not. Because the rest, we've got a table saw going in here. That table saw out there, that's going in this corner, remember? So yeah, we're going to be cutting all of these to length, these boards, about 1620. Once we've done that, we're going to put the track saw on this joint and run the track saw across there a couple of times to straighten these out because the gaps aren't right. And we've got a couple of chips. We're going to do that on the 2 joints. Once we're happy with that, then we're going to just assess all the way around the edges, see what needs trimming up along the edges. This one is actually quite good. But ultimately, yeah, we need to get these cut down to 1600-ish, 1620, do the joints, and then we can go from there. We got these boards from Selection here. So we had about 30 or so boards to choose from. We just gone through about 6 or 7 and just found the best ones. We didn't want to go through all bloody 30, be here all day. But we think we found a decent selection. That's what we're doing now. Sean's doing the cutting all 3 boards to 1620, and then we can just crack on with the joints. 1 piece cut. Lovely jubbly. Let's go ahead and cut the others. We've got all the marks on the ply now, so we're just going to go and cut all 3. We're ready with the worktops. You can see all the dominoes. We've just given that a light swipe on the Aris. We haven't trimmed it, as in like a micro round, because we want them to join nice and tight. We don't want dust to fall in if we take that Aris off really heavily. But we have trimmed up all the edges first, sanded them up, trimmed them up. Can you see on this one's got a cleat. And what that is going to be doing is this top is going down, so that cleat is going to slide under here. Squeeze them together without the need of fixings, and well, our fixings are going to be through the worktop into the frame. Nice stainless steel Allen key threaded screws, I think. So yeah, we're going to slide that in because this one and this one are ready to go. Okay, so I'm recording this audio afterwards because there was no audio to this clip for some reason. My mic gave up. So the saw was sanded up with 120, 240 and oiled as well to just protect it. And what we're doing right now is just trying it in. It weighed an absolute ton. I reckon it was a good 80 kilos at least. Solid, dead weights, awkward shape, really hard to lift. We didn't want to trap our fingers anywhere, otherwise we'd lose fingers. And we're just moving it around bit by bit, taking our time, looking at where we need to be. We didn't want to damage the workbench as well also, because it is literally at the finished stage, as in like sanded and oiled, ready for bits to be added. So we're just assessing it as we go. And the spindle for the winding handle, we took the handle off, but the spindle was in the way. We didn't really account for that. We forgot about it. So what we decided to do, while we were assessing the situation, we decided to prop up the table saw, not take it out of the way again because it was too bloody heavy, and just take that notch out with a multi-tool, I believe. It wasn't going to get seen. It was going to get covered by the top of the top. So that was fine. And it ended up working out perfectly. So what you'll see in a moment is us fitting it. But we're just assessing it right now and just figuring out the best plan of action. This table saw is a SIP 01332, I believe. It's the 10-inch version. And the motor is nice and powerful. It's brilliant. I love it. About 12, 13 years old now. So obviously it's cast iron. Absolute weighs a ton. So what we're doing is just putting it in the last position there. It should drop any moment now. Got the wire out the way. Remember, we took the motor out to have the bearings redone and also to remove some more weight. The motor itself weighed 15 kilos. Here we go, all in, beautiful. And we made it as such where when it drops in, there was no tweaking whatsoever, as in no more packers needed, no left and right, no up and down. It dropped in exactly the right place, and it did so for the worktops when we come to fit them later. There you go, there's the detail, the way it all works. Worked perfectly. I was so chuffed with this. The tabletop worked out exactly the same height as the worktops. So when you cut your piece of wood, it just slides on perfectly. Not a micron of difference. So we've got a panel to go on here, but it's going to be a thin piece of ply because we don't have the space and the width. There's going to be a piece of 6mm birch. And there we go. All looking exactly how it was planned on the drawings. Took a bit of time to draw up these drawings. Took me a good 20 or 30 hours to work these drawings out for this whole workbench, take measurements off all my machines, for the table saw, for the scissor lift, everything that I needed to for all the specs, but there you go, it's all in. I think now it's just onto the tops. Managed to recut a new hole for the start-stop switch. That may even be repositioned again because I need the switch to be on the front. There's going to be doors going here. I'm working out my extraction, where the Hoover is going, where the cyclone is going. I've got all my pipes. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. Sean has just oiled these pieces. These are the frames. So there's a little frame going around here because this is where the chop saw is going to come in and out. When the chop saw comes up and the worktop lifts, you don't want to see in that gap. You don't want to see all these horrible edges, so there's a frame to stop that. And this is what it looks like. 2 sheets together, we just need to close that gap up ever so slightly. We've just clamped it in one corner and slipped it in. Remember, we've got dominoes and cleats, so that's really tight. Struggling to close that up at the moment, but that's what we're going to work on now. And then after that, we can just work out this corner because that is the remaining piece over there. Right, moving on to the cutout, which I'm doing right now. We've got the chop saw going in here now. I've adjusted this, so this shelf is quite level. It was a little bit wonky once I tried it out. So that is ready to go. And as you know, that chop saw there, this beauty, the LS1019L, 240 volts saw, actually, believe it or not, fits in there. So I'm working out the square now. Yeah, so I've drawn it out all the way across. And this frame, which we've made, it's already been sanded and trimmed, so all the arris is taken off and oiled on the inside. That is going to fit within that opening up there to sort of frame it off. So I've made it so these lines, when the flap is open, the flap is going to sit just over halfway of this, so it always has, a bit like a doorstop works, you know, it's going to land on the frame and stop you from seeing in through the gaps of the desk of the top. So I'm working that out. I was thinking of just cutting this opening complete like this, but I think I'm going to leave this section on as well. I'm just cutting a whole square out. So that's the plungy. The only way is the plungy. So we need to either pull it out and cut it with the handsaw or use the multi-tool. Probably going to use the handsaw, might get a neater cut, more accurate. We've got nice stops there, we didn't go over in any of the corners, gone directly to the line. That's what I love about these plungies. Akita plungy SP, what is it, SP6000, that saw? Yeah, SP6000. With the old Henry. Cool, let's go and cut this out. Hole is cut, exciting times. I actually finished these off with a jigsaw, cordless jigsaw, which worked a treat, to be honest. Still need to clean them up, but I've also put this frame in as well. You can see what the frame has done now. You can't see through anymore. And it's going to create that lip when I put this in place, when Sean's not busy. We're going to put this in place and I'll show you what it looks like. And it's in, up against the frame. You can see what it's talking about, creating that lip all the way around. For this panel to go in, we've left 16mm there because we're going to use full overlay hinges, 1, 2, 3 overlays. And then when the flap comes down, effectively, when weight goes down, it still can be transferred down onto this lip all the way around, which is essential. Let's get this in. There we go. Ouch. But there we go. Apart from cleaning it up, sanding the edges, oiling, That's another piece to the puzzle done. There we go. Hatch done. Chop saw up, able to go up and down in its 90 degrees or 0 degrees, whatever you want to call it. It says it's 0. Position, no fuss whatsoever. Then basically all I need to do is just click that into place. Unlock it here. And good to go. Need to get the old blade in, but one job done and on to the next. So we've done this L-shape worktop now. We've finished that off. I say finished, we've cut it in place and we're just making up the bits that support it. You know, a bit down there we had some supporting beams to do all inside, around the edges, so when it goes in it's really supported. But apart from that, moving on to the Jessam router lift now. And that is going to go roughly here. Can you see the square? That is coming out. So the inside line is what I need to take out for this, the meat of this. And yeah, and then once I've done that, that's going to poke through and the majority of it's going to go in this carcass, which is going to live in that back corner. Remember, this is the extraction side. So then we're going to make a little box around it to give ourselves good extraction. So we're going to let that in both this surface and within the carcass. And once I've done that, then I will then release or let in the 10mm thick aluminium plates into the remaining lip. It's going to take a while. Slowly, slowly catch the monkey, as they say, but taking shape. Really happy with progress, and to be honest, we need to get back to paid work at the moment. Been on this for a good week, solid in a row now, Sean and I. 7:30 in the morning to 5:30 at night, 5 days, hardly any breaks. But we're getting to the point where it's literally just sorting out the extraction pipes and dog holes at the top, ordered the jig for that, oiling the top. And then, you know, as time goes by, we're going to be working out drawers, shelves, doors, depending on what tools I need to store. So, happy days, really chuffed that we got this hatch working. If you want to see it going down, let's let it down slowly for you guys. There we go. I mean, I can let it down quicker, but let's make the most of it. And obviously just being let down by its own weight. Oh, that's the hose. Lovely. To be honest, before I did that, I should have unlocked it. There we go, just put down the chop saw handle. Let's close it up. Lovely. Size of a snooker table, this. If you want to see scale, go to a snooker club and see what size the snooker table is, and that's exactly what we got. A little tour around it. Still got all these spaces to fill. 1, 2, 2 on the, well, the whole of that side is yet to be filled. We've got 6 of these big squares to fill. Remaining space. Yeah, there you go. Happy days. All right, so what do you think, guys? Any good? Like I said, last part 4 said exactly the same thing. I could have gone on for hours, tons more footage to show you, but I had to stop it there. The video was getting a little bit long. I had to cut out loads. I had hours and hours and hours of footage, and had to cut some of it out and not show most of it. But if you enjoyed it, thumbs up. Also subscribe, that would be amazing. We're at 26,500 subscribers. Another one would be amazing. We've also got memberships, etc., etc. Links to our products are in the video, so anything that we use, any tools and bits and pieces that are floating around the workshop, they'll be in the video description if you want links to those. BANGGOOD tools, especially the parallel guides, tons of stuff. Anything's cut, the sheet material, all in the link descriptions. But other than that, hope you enjoyed. Have a great rest of the day. Take it easy. Ciao for now.